Hey YouTube, it's a Sunday and I'm not doing a whole lot on a Sunday, but it's 125 in the greenhouse. The relative humidity is where it needs to be for good drying. Got to start getting some more wood in there. We got about 84 or so outside. Guys, I want to make one comment here before I get started on cutting. I had gotten a comment about listening to someone else, what they talk about on YouTube. I made a video a long time ago, or not a long time ago, maybe 3 months ago, about how to talk to people and how you get responses. Nobody's going to respond to someone who constantly gives you a cut or slanderous comment. So, you know, if you're the type of person that you do that yourself, so you don't mind it, that's fine. But if you read my comments, I don't slander anybody, but I don't also back down from nobody. The point is that when you make comments, 99% of the people are fine. There's nothing going on. But, you know, comments can be derogatory to someone and you don't even know they're derogatory. And I know myself, you know, sometimes I talk about Chinese. I'm not talking about the Chinese people. I'm talking about the culture of the way that they build stuff. But even that may be harmful to people. And if it is, then it shouldn't be done. But I'm just saying in the comments, you know, if you comment to one another, I mean, I don't particularly care. I'll just delete the comment and take the person off the thing. But I'm just making this so that you understand. Sometimes it's not worth commenting to somebody. If somebody's always negative and always down and nothing's going to work that you plan on doing, hey, there's a million different ways to do stuff. But whether it works for them or not is irrelevant if it works for you. And I don't do things that don't work. So anyway, here we are. We have this big hunk of white oak here on the Woodmizer. This end here is probably about 28 inches. I just cut a little bit of a knob that was sticking out here that wouldn't let me get by. Let me just check out the shape of this thing here a little bit. See if I can back up. Yeah. Okay, so this dimension here is 28 inches. This dimension here of the main log is around 20 inches. What I want to do with this, I'm not looking for anything. Well, I am looking for something in particular. What I'm looking for is to get the widest planks that I can get. Now that means I'm not going to cut a cant out of it, because if I cut a cant I lose the wideness. The reason I want to cut wide planks is I want to just, I'll resaw them then so I have straight edges. I want to use this, lumber from this, to form out the concrete weight or counterweight or foundation for my crane. And I need to get some of that wood together because I don't have any plywood in stock, so I'm just going to use this stuff. So that's what I'm going to do today. And some other comments that I would like to make. If you noticed on my videos from up at the Empire State Farm Show, the Woodmizer was working with the LT15 down on the ground. Listen, I guess if I was younger, maybe I might not go along with this concept, but I'm going to tell you something. When you're my age, I'm 64, when you're my age and you've worked hard all your life, it's very hard to be bending down. I mean, you know, my back will give me grief if I'm bending down constantly picking stuff up from the dead floor level. So I raised my bunk up here, and I know I've said this before, but I'll go over it again. I raised my bunk up so that the bunk is at 22 inches off the concrete slab. Now, the reason I did this, and I know I said it before, but A, I can walk on concrete a lot easier than I can walk on dirt. B, I can work, this is knee height, okay? There's my knee. I'm at knee height there. I can easily reach knee height. I hardly have to bend over. And the top of the log here, my arms straight out from my body, my arm would be about this high. So a little lower than that is fine. I may have to walk around the log a couple times to dog it, but so does anybody else, you know, when you're trying to keep the log in place. So I'm just saying that's why I did it. It doesn't matter to me if someone else does it. I don't care what you do. But this is why I did this. I raised it up for that reason. Okay? And it makes it a lot easier on me. I mean, you saw me work on this thing all last summer. I had no back problems. Maybe a sore back from, you know, doing too much pushing or something, but it surely wasn't from bending down. And that's why I have this up off the ground. Now, I do not expect, and I'm not recommending that Woodmizer put all of their sawmills at a show on a foundation. That would be pretty ridiculous to carry it around with them. However, what I'm saying is, you know, usually you're a little bit older, you're more than a teenager in most cases when you can afford to buy stuff like this. So you should be smart enough and old enough to have known how to work around things. And anybody knows that when you're working at bench height, why do you think they make benches and lifts for motorcycles? Why do they make benches and lifts for garden tractors? That's the point, because you can see things that you can't see when you're trying to bend over. That's part of the problem. You're not on your knees trying to look up at something. That's part of why I did what I did here, to solve that issue. Also, I had gotten a comment last night, I think, about the sharpening of the blade. Listen, I have a great deal of respect for people that of any age who have done something. But my dad used to have a saying, you might be 70 years old and you might have done something all your life, but who knows, you might have been doing it wrong. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong about this, but I just want to make a comment about the saw blade. First of all, what's the difference whether you cut the back of the tooth or the front of the tooth? You're still diminishing the size of the tooth. So a comment saying that if you cut the back you're taking the meat off the tooth is actually irrelevant, because either way, whether you take it off the front or take it off the back, you're still lessening the size of the tooth. That's why blades wear out. Okay? That's number one. Number two is, I said this 50 times, when I run my file through this, you look very closely at the tooth, and I am still maintaining that 10 degrees. None of these teeth are straight. All of them have that 10-degree angle to them. Now, is it perfect like a machinist would do? No, it's not. I'm doing it by hand, but it's darn close enough. And not only that, my final comment for somebody who's sharpening blades is this. If I start my Woodmizer and I cut through the log and I have a pile of wood when I'm done and I'm satisfied with the straightness of the cut, what does it matter how I sharpen it? It seems like people are getting hung up in one little thing. That's what screwed this country up. We listen to people who really don't know everything or can't tell you every situation that you're going to be in. And what happens is we end up making a standard for something that isn't any good. Okay, it's no good. So as far as I'm concerned, this is America. We're free. We can do what we want to do. If somebody doesn't like the way you're doing it, by all means, go do it yourself. Man, make videos about how you do it so we can see what you're doing. That's why I'm making videos, so other people can see what I'm doing. And I've gotten a lot of good comments, and I've made some changes in things. You know, people say you should use fluid. Guys who do it for a living say they don't use any fluid. You know, sharpen your blades at a Woodmizer store. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is that you get the job done. That's what matters. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to cut this thing. I'm going to let the Woodmizer warm up a little. Guys, one of the things I like to do is spray some WD-40 on the blade. I don't know if you can hear the blade right now whistling past bearings, but if you put a little bit of WD-40 on there, it stops that. So guys, if you take a straight edge like I have here and you look across the cut, you can see that's a nice flat cut going in that direction. And I'll lay this blade here, and you can see also that's a good cut going in that direction. Now there's a little bit of light coming through here, but it's less than a 1/16 of an inch, so we're in pretty good shape. The thing is though, is when I was touching the blade and feeling the blade, I noticed it feels a little dull to me, so I'm going to sharpen that blade quick and then I'll get back to cutting this. Just so you know, this will be the fourth time, yeah, the fourth time that I've sharpened this blade by hand, and it's been on the mill now for almost a month. Just so you know that. Okay guys, so I just finished sharpening that blade. It's about, I don't know, 15 minutes later, and I'm going to do some cutting here. The best way I found to sharpen blades is with a little air grinder and a file. And the comment that I got yesterday was something about not having the 10-degree angle, that I was making a 0-degree angle on it. That's not true. I explained in a previous video, you put the file against the tooth on the angle that's already existing. That is the 10-degree angle. I'm not making it a 0-degree angle. If a 0 wouldn't help me. Okay, you need that little angle to pull the wood into the saw blade to cut it. I know that. Just so you guys understand why I do what I do. So let me cut this. Now you can see how that cut through there. I got a pretty nice cut. There's two places in this log, right here and right here, where there's a massive knot. And where those knots are, the saw has pulled down into them. Now, sometimes it's because the wood is harder, sometimes it's because the wood is softer. But either way, I got a little bit of a wave there. But I know that it's not from the saw blade, and I'll tell you why I know that. Because where there is no knots, the cut is flat. You see that? If it was a saw blade, it would cut crooked all the places. So here, where there's two knots, I have an indented cut. It's even at the edge there. And I believe because it's these two knots that are in here. So we're going to keep cutting. Now we need to roll this. The length of this thing is 80 inches. So it's 80 inches long. I need to roll it I'm going to try it with the cant hook. If I can't do it, I'll hook the backhoe to it. Carmine's not here right now. He had to go somewhere with my wife. Log to turn. Dog was hooked on it over there. It's not bad. When you're turning the log with the can hook and you're by yourself like this, you can pretty much tell when you've turned it to the flat side over on the opposite side, even though you can't see it, because of the way it hits when you turn it. Now this could go back a little bit to get a perfectly square edge on the board, but I'm cutting them 1 inch thick, so I'm not going to really worry about that because I'm going to be cutting them anyway. Guys, something else that comes in handy. If you want to see where the saw blade's going to hit something, if you read the reading on your Woodmizer and then come over here and pull the tape out, the reading over there is 22 inches. And I go down to 22 inches, line that up with the blade, I can see where the sawmill's going to cut. Like right now at 22 inches, it's just going to miss this here. And if you measure that, you can see 22 inches is a little bit high. You learn to do these things, especially when I used to do grade surveying work. You learn to do that and use all the things you can, the principles of geometry, straight lines, and things like that, to be able to come up with the answers to these problems. So we should actually go down 1 inch to get this cut off here. Or very close. white oak. This white oak is unbelievably heavy. Really heavy. Okay, now we can get some nice boards out of this. 14-inch, 19-inch. It would be nice if the whole log was like that. The biggest board I'll get out of here is 14 inches. I only have one. I have one straight side, so I can cut the other side on the table saw then. So we'll keep going. Yep. I put this straight edge on here since those knots are not on this side. Beautiful. Look how nice and straight that is. Let me show it to you up close here. You know, when you do this stuff for a while, and I expect people who really know how to do this and have done it for a long time should be able to tell you about all this. But you can see how straight that is. There's some very small amount of light coming through there. Not much at all. At the widest point here, what did I say that was? Well, at the widest point, it's 22 inches. You can see no wobbling there, nice and flat. So those of you who are saying no to my sharpening method, I'm sorry, but hey, it works. And I got a nice smooth cut here. Bullseye. Stay here. Get a 1 by 12 out of this. I get 1x12s out of this, I'll be happy. Because that way there, 12-inch form boards are easy to work with, and they cover a lot of ground. So I'm going to roll this over, then I can put the dogs down. I wanted to show you guys this. The other day in Carmine's video, he used this hammer and he was hitting on the dogs. When I saw the video, I did not like that, and I noticed that Neil, and you know who you are, didn't like it either, and I agree with that. However, I just want you to know that it's not a solid hammer. I don't know if you can read that, but it's a dead blow hammer, so it's all rubber. Nonetheless, he shouldn't have been hitting on it. All he had to do was bump it over a little bit and put the dogs down, which is better for the longevity of the machine. I just wanted to show you that. I don't think he should be banging on anything, and I told him about it after the fact. Of course, you know, when you're young, you do things that you think are right, and they're not. Whew. Now, looks like I'm hitting there. Watch, if I put the dogs down, I won't get it turned at all. I'm going to try and move that side back. See, the dog's not high enough to get past it, and this thing is really heavy. I need to move it over this way. That should miss the dog. Whew. Having those wheels on the top of those dogs is a good idea that Woodmizer had, and that seems to work pretty well. Okay, I got a dog to back it at. I just wanted to answer another comment. Someone had asked me how the bevel siding jigs that I have keep the cant in place. And I'll show you this. This is the first set I made. Since then I've made some really nice ones. However, what happens here is the dog, or the jig, goes against the stop. So when you pick this up, the cant hits on this lip. And once the cant hits on that lip, you just tighten up the dog on that side, and that's how the cant stays in place. And you'll have to loosen the cant then the same way you would loosen the dog on any other board to make cuts. But it works good for me. I've cut a lot of siding already. So you can see this crack in that board there. Doesn't make any sense for me to be playing around with that, so I'm just gonna make a cut that's about that low, because I'm not gonna get what I need out of the top of that anyway. And then I should still get some boards out of here. This will be 1x14. I'm looking for 1x12s, I guess, at this point. That's what should work out the best. That 14 inches off the bunk will cover me here. I think I'm going to go a little less than that because I don't want to have to carry that big honking piece. I'll go with 19 inches, see what I get out of that, and then cut from there. What happens when you're talking to the camera? Decided to cut that 2-inch board there because I can make a couple 2x4s out of that white oak to help me frame this thing a little bit. that cut. Now this is the opposite side of the tree with two knots here, one here and one here. You can see that I got light coming through there. Now I tried rolling that log with the cant hook. If the log's not symmetrical, in other words, a square, a circle, you tend to have a lot of weight hanging off of it like a cam has on it. Now this particular log, you can see where, you know, if it was straight through there, it would be easy to turn. But right now there's so much log hanging on this side that I just can't turn that by hand. Life a whole lot easier. That's why I want the crane, so I don't have to keep moving the back. Okay, now nothing else, we'll get a 12-inch cant out of that. So no matter how I cut it now, I'm going to end up with 1x12s, which is what I want. I should probably turn it one turn to get away from these knots sticking up here. 15 inches. It's only 12 here, yeah. Well, there's only one nut on this side, there's two on that side. I guess I'll let it the way it is and just cut 1-inch cords out of there for forming the pier. Okay. So that's about it for today, guys. I've had it. It's Sunday. Try not to do too much on a Sunday. I've already done more than I should have. Have a good one. Bye. Bullseye's over there watching squirrels at the feeder. You see how he has most of his body on this side of the house? Hunting dogs tend to be able to whoa very well if you train them right. Well, I think I'll leave the cleanup for the help.